Hello, I am Kart. I'm a little late to making a video about this, but, you know, I have a job. Anyways, the Switch 2 was announced a little bit ago, and that's fine and cool and all. I'm more interested in the type of games it can handle, what with the specs of the console and whatnot. I'm not huge on the loss of color overall on the console. I'm curious how the magnetic Joy-Cons are gonna work, and I won't have the money to buy it anyways, so everything I know about it will be from my friends. Anyways, enough about that. Mario Kart is where it's at. Because the Switch 2 had every atom leaked before the actual reveal, I figured they needed something to make it a little more exciting, so they decided to just randomly drop Mario Kart 9 footage. Though, that's pretty generous to say. I don't even think it adds up to 10 seconds total, and the footage is pretty grainy, so there's not too much I can say for certain. But from what I've read by people smarter than me who have more time to analyze, Mario Kart 9 might be wild. This video is going to be a light mix of stuff I noticed in the trailer, a pinch of speculation, and a dash of what I'm hoping for out of a new Mario Kart after a decade of 8 Deluxe. I think the first thing worth mentioning is what everyone's been talking about already. 24 racers. There is room for 24 karts at the starting line, leading everyone to assume that double the racers from the last game is going to be the standard going forward. And I've got to say, oh boy, I sure hope not. That sounds way too messy, even for something like Mario Kart. Not to say I wouldn't want to give it a shot, not at all. I can imagine it being a very funny version of the game to play, just not exclusively. I imagine it being a separate mode from the 12-player race, akin to the way Smash 4 did 8-player Smash. Slight addendum to this section, but the huge amount of players gives me a little more confidence in the power of the Switch 2. Like, that's gotta be some kind of step up, surely. Just something to think about. The next thing that I believe to be worth mentioning is this drastic change in art style. It may not be obvious to most, but there is definitely an alteration to the art style in Mario's games that's been happening since 2023, starting with Mario Wonder. A lot of characters look very different, I think Donkey Kong especially, but that's too obvious. Mario and Luigi are both rounder, looking like renders from the 64 era, and Bowser looks, I'm not quite sure how to describe it, he just is shaped a lot better. There's a big portion of characters that have not been translated into this more cutesy art style, so I'm curious who they're going to add into this game to show off in the new art style. Speaking of that thing I just said a second ago, the roster. People almost give as much of a damn about the Mario Kart rosters as they give about the Smash Bros. Rosters. When the Koopalings got into Mario Kart, there was quite the uproar back then, but I don't have much personal experience with that. I was like 12 or 13, doodling on Miiverse, having the time of my life. Anyways, due to the potential of there being 24 people in the same race, there almost certainly needs to be enough characters to fill out one full race at least. Personally, I would hope for double, so 48-ish characters total. But as long as I can play as Wario, Pauline, Donkey Kong, Wiggler, or Drybones, I'll be okay. Just make sure you add in the basics before you go shoehorning in characters like the Broodals or Honey Queen or something. The last thing I wanted to talk about was the potential new gimmick of this game. People have seen this one scummy screenshot and have come to a variety of conclusions. The first is the idea of the Wonder Seed, as in there are seeds in select locations that will heavily alter the course. Personally, this is probably my favorite idea I've heard regarding this mysterious icon. Someone suggested it was shaped more like a takeout bag, which is supported by the location it's found by, I guess. It happens to be a diner. I have no clue what that could imply, but maybe it would mean every course has its own unique objectives to complete that could alter the course in some way. Whether that gives new shortcuts, diverging paths, or new places for items is completely lost to me. It's probably the weakest idea in my opinion. Just feels a little too time-consuming to create a little objective for every new course. And the last suggestion was actually completely unrelated to this mysterious item entirely. Some people have been thinking, due to the crossroads of the course they're racing on in the footage, that the course may change layout with every lap. And this idea is probably the most believable one out of them all, considering the way the
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass DLC for the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe game
handled the tracks they added from the mobile game, which are a pretty similar concept. It might not be my favorite idea, but it certainly seems the most likely. In my opinion. Now then, before we end things off, I'd like to briefly talk about my hopes for what Mario Kart 9 will bring to the table. First, please let the new courses be cool. As much as I love reimagining the old classics, after a decade of 8 and Deluxe, I would much rather see cool new courses like Squeaky Clean Sprint and the like. Please don't just give me like Toadette Circuit, I would be so bored. More innovative and interesting stuff, please. Another thing I'd like is for more customizability, but ironically what I mean is kind of the opposite of customizability. I've actually touched on this in a much older video. Give me a toggle for Mario Kart stats. Certain kart combinations do not get picked at all because it's not viable for winning races. Let me make a cool or funny looking kart without it having any bearing on how fast I go or how slippery I am. Let that be dictated by the character I pick. Also bring back the little emblem designs from Mario Kart DS that you can customize, those were peak. And speaking of DS, a story mode similar to that game would be pretty cool, or maybe not similar to the DS game, because it was more like a series of challenges. I don't know, it would be a fun extra mode. Finally, there's a lot of stuff from Mario Kart Tour that could go into the newest console release. A lot of stuff that people immediately disregard because it's from a phone game. But those things, like the new items, the tours system, and the different challenge courses, could really increase the variety of races, and just give you more things to do outside of regular races and time trials. Any clank! I've overstayed my welcome on this topic I am already late to discussing. It's about time I finish off this video, so take a look at some fan art while I plug my other stuff. Follow me on TikTok and Blue Sky. I make a decent post on those that you could take a look at. Worst case scenario, you don't follow me, and in that case I will sob and cry and piss and shit. You don't want to do that to me, do you? Also, I have a new Discord server, recently rebranded to the Honk House. There you can hang out with other like-minded freaks to talk about whatever slop you deem interesting that week. I'm there as well, I'm there too, as well as the astute members of my stream team. Still trying to think of a better name for that, though. And while you're here, maybe consider becoming a channel member. I call them headliners because it's a cooler name. You get access to emotes on streams, first dibs on watching new videos, a private channel in the Discord server, your name, and a doodle alongside your name in the credits of videos. To get that doodle, though, you'll have to join the Discord server to let me know how you'd like me to draw your head. Finally, if you have fan art of me you'd like to share, tag me in it on social media or post it in the channel on my Discord server, and I'll put it in the end of my videos. Okay, I think that's everything from me. Let's close up shop. My name is Goose, I thank you very much for watching, and, gay rights. Okay, bye!